I'll call the meeting to order. Are we properly posted?
The meeting was posted according to law.
Roll call.
President Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Harding. Trustee Holm.
Here.
Trustee Moody.
Here.
Trustee Nugent. Here. Trustee Seeger.
Here.
Trustee Wisniewski.
All right. Before citizen participation, we're going to do a presentation of America's 250th anniversary flag and proclamation by Walworth County Supervisor and Board Chair Rick Stacy. Rick. Just push the little people button there, and it'll turn green. There you go.
Thank you for putting me on the agenda tonight. The Walworth County Board is presenting a flag and proclamation of the 250th anniversary of America, and I'm going to read it here. The proclamation celebrating America's 250th, where on July 4th, 2026, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary, marking the signing of Declaration of Independence and the founding of our nation. And whereas our founders established a nation based on equality, unalienable rights, and pursuit of happiness principles that have guided America's enduring legacy of freedom and achievement. And whereas schools and local governments play a vital role in teaching civic values, honoring our history, and fostering our patriotism and unity among new generations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Walworth County Board proudly commemorates America's 250th anniversary by presenting a semi-quincentennial flag to the Walworth County schools and local governments agencies to be flown at their buildings and encourage staff and students and families to celebrate our nation's history, future through meaningful activities. Be it further resolved, the board calls on community to join in a celebration reflecting our nation's journey and recommit to the founding principles that make America strong and united. Be it finally resolved, the Walworth County Board calls upon all members of our community to join in celebration to reflect extraordinary journey of our nation and recommit ourselves to principles of liberty, justice, and self-governance that continue to make America a great nation, worthy of pride and dedication. And at this time, if you want to come around, I'll present you with a flag.
Thank you to the county. You bet. All right. We'll move on to citizen participation. Per Village Resolution 2017-01, anyone wishing to address the village board during citizen participation will be allowed 5 minutes. Your subject must specifically relate to matters under the jurisdiction of the village board, whether on the agenda or not. The village board should not engage in a discussion regarding comments because it was not part of the publicly noticed agenda. Upon conclusion of the citizen participation segment, members of the audience are not allowed further comment unless they're participating in a public hearing or if specifically allowed by a majority vote of the village board due to involvement in an agenda item. Come on up. So just push the little person icon there, it'll turn green, and state your name and address, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Ellen Shutt, and I actually live at 429 Arthur Drive, Clinton, Wisconsin. And I'm here tonight because I wanted to introduce myself. I am running for the 11th State Senate District that Senator Noss currently represents, but he has announced that he's retiring at the end of this year. I am originally from Darien, Wisconsin, having grown up on my parents' farm there. My husband and I and our son and one of my brothers are still involved in the family farm to this day. I did have the honor of representing the 31st Assembly District, covering parts of Rock and Walworth County, but not East Troy, 2 years ago. And so I served one term, but 2 years ago we did get new legislative maps, and so my map got completely messed up, and I didn't have a district to run in again. And so now I am the executive director of the Wisconsin FFA Foundation, where we raise funds to support ag education and FFA programming across the state of Wisconsin. And I'm just out here tonight to learn what's going on. And because I really believe that our elected officials at the state should be a voice for our local communities and be in touch with what's going on, and that's what I want to be. So thank you.
Thanks for coming out. You're up. Just push the little person icon there. It'll turn green. Yep, and name and address, please.
Laura Rudolph, 2090 West Street in East Troy. I just wanted to, just stop me if I'm wrong, but I wanted to address the board. I had spoken with Officer DeMaio about approximately 2 weeks ago regarding the ongoing concerns living next door to Playmore Park. I know that there has been a lot of improvements done. Unfortunately, the two houses, mine included, and the neighbor behind me, we've had extensive issues. I've lived there approximately 25 years, almost 25 years, and if you look up the call log to the police department, it is very, very long. In the last 2 years, things have gotten much worse. They had put up the new pavilion, and a lot of people are there and congregating, which is great, and that's, what you want out of a village park. Unfortunately, to live next door is very, very hard. The things that we have had to deal with living there, I mean, there was everything from an attempted suicide to my neighbor's house was robbed behind me in broad daylight, with evidence that the person had actually come through my yard. I do have a privacy fence that is up, and since the robbery, I have put up more panels along my my sentry fence, but I'm just asking if there are any more additions or improvements, if they could be further away from our homes, and or if there is any kind of barrier that can be put up versus the sentry fence that is there. This is just evidence of, this is 2 weeks worth, and this is all glass and concrete and rusted nails, and this is what I have to pick up out of my yard. And I have a 1-year-old and 3 dogs that live with me. So it's getting to the point where it's dangerous, and I mean, I literally no longer feel safe. I have cameras everywhere, and I do know that the park has a very good camera system up. Unfortunately, the damage is already done to my house. It's already done to the privacy fence, and I honestly don't expect the police department to be monitoring this. I mean, they have much bigger and better things to do, but the slides are being vandalized, and it really is getting to the point where I'm contemplating moving after all these years, because it's literally not fair to live where we're living. So I just want to ask if you would consider putting up some sort of barrier next to our homes. I already have a privacy fence, and as you can see, all of this matter and all of this glass went over the park's sentry fence as well as my wooden privacy fence. So that was it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in and making us aware of that. Jason, can we get you or Vicki in touch with her from at least the park perspective? And I know Officer DeMaio already has the other information.
Absolutely, and we can talk about it at Park and Rec as well.
Thank you. Thank you again for coming in and letting us know. Anyone else for citizen participation? Going once, going twice. Okay, we will move on to consent agenda. One motion and a second will approve all the following items. Any item may be pulled from the list and voted on separately.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second it.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous business, item 1, discussion/consideration DATCP Weights and Measures Agreement/cost reimbursement. Danette?
So we have been under an agreement with the DATCP for a little over a year now, and last year was our first invoice of $1,500 for their services. They sent me a letter that we need to let them know if we intend to start charging the businesses who benefit from this or not. They were 1,500 and 5 businesses, so $300 each is what we could seek to get reimbursement for if the board so chooses. But in the past, the direction was to not get that reimbursement from the businesses and just bring it back to the board once we've gone through a billing cycle.
I'm trying to recall our conversation about this before. I think our concern was just the administrative overhead for $1,500. Is that still a concern?
Yeah, I don't think Danette was here when we had that conversation, but, I mean, yes, you're producing invoices. It's not going to cost that much time to do the invoices and the collections, but I think it was a lot of unknowns, how many businesses were going to be inspected at that point. We really didn't have that information when we were notified that we'd start getting billed for it, which the population was what triggered us starting to be billed for those inspections.
I'm just looking at that report. I can appreciate why the gas stations are on it, but Jones Outlet, that's a grocery store, isn't it?
Weight measurement for the scales?
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't inspected Hanson's, but they would. I mean, they would be similar.
Okay.
So if we were going to bill it to the individual businesses, what would that entail? You said 300?
Well, currently, under the last bill, there were only 5 businesses, and if you spread that out over the $1,500, it would be $300 per business. It wouldn't take more than 15 minutes to do the billing.
What about a cost sharing? Us pay for some of it, and the business pay for some of it.
Yes. So, sorry. If you look at the device count, Jones Outlet had 1, and here we've got Quick Trip 96, 8, 2. So, I mean, if we bill at $300 a piece, that wouldn't really be fair, especially to Jones Outlet. They've got 1, where Quick Trip's got 100. So,
I mean, I'm inclined for $1,500 to move on. I mean, I think if this grows, let's bring it back.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Like, if we were a larger municipality, we had lots of gas stations, lots of grocery stores and things like that, this would be a different discussion. So I think if this cost goes up, let's bring that back. Okay. Item 2, consider
Do you
2020.
need a motion?
I don't think we need a motion to do nothing.
Okay.
Item 2, consider 2025 fund balance designations and recommending operating transfer. Eileen?
So on an annual basis, we review the fund balance designations. As the board's aware, every budget cycle, we have certain things we set aside for in the budget annually so that we're not having to borrow for specific things or to just smooth out the budget so we're not having spikes in purchase years. So when I review this, I factor in all of those things, all of the spent, all of that. So that's all been adjusted in the 2025 proposed sheet you received. The biggest thing to talk about is that we did have a surplus in our general fund of $218,465 in 2025. The board had previously discussed a goal of changing the 35% to 40% of our current year operating budget for the general fund reserves that are specifically identified just for operating expenses, which you did approve that policy change in the consent agenda. At 40%, this number should be $1,408,390, and now we're just over $1.6 million. So it allows us to transfer $238,192, if we so choose, to the capital fund. The capital fund increased by $985,877, but of that, $902 is borrowing proceeds for capital projects that are slated for 2026. Also, in December of 2025, we discussed funding options for the Honey Creek Nature Area, and we decided to postpone that discussion until we did this fund balance designations. We talked about the fact that we could include it in a future borrowing, or we might have the ability to transfer funds. I did go ahead and add an additional $30,000 from the unassigned capital to the Honey Creek Nature restoration, because Jason's memo further on talks about some of the increased costs. So by doing that and doing a transfer, that would allow us to be able to fund the village's portion fully through fund balance. So the recommendation is to authorize a $238,000 operational transfer from the general fund to the capital fund specifically for that purpose. And then I will discuss CDA projects later this year. I'm going to have to do an operational transfer to the CDA fund based on some of their spending, and they've already spent some of that $160,000 that's reserved. It just hasn't been transferred to their fund. I did have a summary of the budget surpluses and revenue expenditure side, but these were also after the amendment. We did do an amendment in January, so that's simply those that were over. They accumulated those excesses after we had already done the budget amendments. The last page of my memo does show the general fund, capital fund, and all the other fund balance trends. I just thought it was important to depict some of the significant changes. If you look at the history of the general fund, around 2017, we decreased it quite a bit and put it over to the capital fund. And that's when we really started that practice of taking those operational surpluses, putting them towards capital, and basically using it as savings and a way to buffer borrowing for projects. The capital fund did go up slightly. We did have a decrease in 2024, but that was because we did the HVAC project and the lobby renovation, and that those funds had specifically been put aside for that. Overall, our fund balance, when you account for all of the funds, has increased. Some of that is due to those borrowing proceeds, but it's also due to our TID 4 is now no longer carrying a negative balance. You know, in those first couple of years, it is common to carry a negative balance. Were there any questions about the recommendations or the designations?
I like your verbiage of smoothing it out. I like that. So are you need two motions or just one motion?
I need a motion to approve the designation if the board agrees with the fund balance designations, and then a motion to approve the $238,000 operational transfer from general fund to capital fund. But that could be all done in one motion. We just got to make sure we state both.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 fund balance designations as presented, and authorize a $238,000 operational transfer from general fund operational expenses to capital fund Honey Creek Nature Area Restoration Project.
A second.
All right, questions or discussion on the motion? I think this is great. We're making the 40% policy change, and then what we're doing here will help with our credit rating, which is already a good credit rating. And the changes in the capital fund balance are great. So we're doing what we should be doing. So thanks to all of us doing that. All right. No other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. On to item 3, consider bid award for Honey Creek Nature Area Improvements. A, approve engineering contract amendment for construction-related services and grant reimbursement assistance. Jason?
Tim, you want to bring us up to speed?
Haven't seen you in a while.
I like to come around. Yeah, so as mentioned, we did bid out the Honey Creek Restoration project, which includes the boardwalk, a bunch of trails. It includes the Mill Pond Park reconstruction and paving, and getting that parking lot set up for the future. For the project, we received one bid. It's kind of a unique project. We talked to some of the other potential bidders, and it's just a very unique project with the amount of boardwalk and trail, but more so the boardwalk is being unique. The project, the bid we received was from Somerset Marine. We did some substantial checking on their references, came back really quite well. So some very good positive feedback from people who have worked with them in the past on this size and frankly much larger projects as well. So feel pretty good about it from that standpoint. One question we did have, we bid at the project two different ways. One with treated lumber as the base bid for the decking and with an alternate for composite decking. The cost for the composite was $167,000, is that right, Jason?
Nope. 145, 755,
You're right,
67.
145. It was $145,000 more. We did a present worth analysis, something we do in engineering economy type of work, to figure out what's the value of that based on ongoing operation and maintenance, future replacement of the wood decking versus the composite that you don't have to replace because it's going to last longer. We looked at that, and the present value cost for the composite is still higher, but much closer, around $67,000 additional. Our recommendation will be to use the composite. Still, though, just from the standpoint of you're not going to have the warping during those times before replacement. You're going to have a much better product that's going to last much longer. From our standpoint, I think it'll be used more in a better way and the splintering and other things that you would with the wood decking. So our recommendation will be to award the project to Somerset with the alternates that include the composite decking. And with that, I'd take any questions.
I just want to add, we did receive a grant for this project, DNR Stewardship Grant, $458,236. So just wanted to point that out.
I like the idea of the composite. I was over on the pier over the weekend, and I noticed there's some burn areas on our pier
Okay.
now. Is this the same material that we're looking at for both places? And if so, is there a way when it is marred like that, it can be repaired? Thank you.
I would have to see what that is.
So the burn marks are actually from a motorcycle that was on the pier.
I won't ask why.
It's
I don't know
going to
why.
happen. I mean, it's going to happen probably on the trail. So it's a good question.
We do have Larry Chapman here tonight. If the board is interested in asking him any questions, he might be the expert in the room.
Yeah, I mean, I would use high-density polyethylene, which is, 100% all the way through. That way, if you have an issue, I'll get
Larry,
it out.
can you come up to the mic
Yeah, go ahead.
and state that?
I would suggest using high-density polyethylene, which is a lot stronger than the decking you see with just a laminate around it. A lot of the decking, like the Trex and whatnot, will have just a real cheap filler with a PVC shell around it, and that can get marred and can have issues. But the high-density polyethylene is the same color all the way through, so you can heat it up if it gets scuffed which is very hard to do. It's a very hard plastic. It's very good.
And that
Using
is
all
how
that.
you bid it, is with the high density?
Yeah, I believe that's how we bid it, yeah. I can find out from the engineers that bid it, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. I can confirm that tomorrow, though. But that's what I would suggest, either way. I'm not sure what you guys put in the bid for an alternate, if that's, yeah.
I believe so, but
Okay, that's all I know.
recommendation of the manufacturer, so. Thank you.
I think it's the same price. Right?
For what it's worth, I think a couple months ago, Tim, when you pitched it to Parks and Rec, we all had a discussion and ended up liking the composite as the choice.
For sure. We bid it both ways from the standpoint of wanting to make sure that depending how the prices came in, the material cost is significantly, obviously, more just in material.
Remind me again about ADA access.
So it's ADA accessible. We did put the slopes such that they either have railings or they're ramps with areas, so it's all completely ADA accessible as designed.
Do you think the composite is better than the wood for ADA? For wheelchair access?
Probably with the warping and whatnot. I think from a design standpoint, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but from actually how it actually functions, yes, it'll function better.
And to Jim's point, we did this before. We built a really nice pier out of treated lumber. It lasted us about 5 years successfully, and then we had to continue to repair it after that. We then replaced it with a much nicer product, which is a composite material that will probably last 20 years for us, which, yeah, I agree. Composite material is the way to go for this product.
And I do just want to make sure we're all clear, the structure itself is still treated lumber. It's the decking that we have the alternate on, okay.
We decided not to go with the lighting, right?
Correct.
Okay. Given our citizen comment about a different park, is there a need to have some sort of capability of, putting up some cameras or things like that along this trail, or is that something we could take offline?
It's something we can certainly talk about it.
Okay.
There's systems out there that are,
Yeah, I mean, there's the camera piece, but I'm just thinking that as we build it, we have, points where we could, put up a pole, for that.
sure.
Okay.
One other thing I want to point out is if we are looking to move forward, we'll obviously need to award the bid for the project, and then there is also an engineering amendment that we would need to approve as well with 2 separate motions. And then one other thing we did want to just chat about is if there's appetite for another round of stewardship grant. So the filing is due May 31?
May 1st. It's coming up
May
quick.
1st. So that's,
We have time to turn it around right now if there's appetite. We have a concept that I shared with Jason to extend the trail further to the west and then bring a pedestrian bridge over to the lift station area. Our estimate for construction for that piece is about $550,000. So with engineering, you're in the 650, 6 3/4 range. But we would be seeking a 50-50 grant.
the other thing I would add is I think we also need to consider, we're going to have to do some shoreline work, especially on the north side of Honey Creek. And I would certainly like to see that in a next project, just because we are experiencing some erosion, and I think it's important that we keep on top of that. So whatever our next project is, whenever our next project is, I think it's important that we also focus on that as well.
And that estimate did include some of that shoreline restoration as well.
And this would be a 2027 grant?
Yeah, there's a few years to do it. Yes, you'd have time. It's an application now. You wouldn't find out until probably fall or so, and then MOU to follow.
Rough idea on application, a cost to get an application in, because we didn't budget anything for an application.
Right, between $3,000 and $5,000.
And we have not been to Park and Rec, back to Park and Rec about this either.
And being awarded doesn't necessarily mean we're committed to the project at that point, correct?
Correct. You'd have an MOU to consider. The real question, the timing piece is we got May 1st, and so we'd have to go if we're going to go.
What about the bathrooms at the Playmore Park? Or wasn't that one of the ones we asked for, or was that a different grant?
That wasn't stewardship, was it?
It may have been. We were not awarded it, though.
I guess we're going to put that on hold because of the library?
Talked about
That was the last that I had heard.
All right. I mean, your authority goes up to, what, 10,000?
It does. I would have to pay for it out of an operational account, because again, nothing was budgeted for specifically for.
Yeah,
this,
I mean,
so-
we have time to figure out the accounting on the back end later. I mean,
I guess at this point, would be some direction that if the majority of the board feels like it's something we want to pursue, I mean,
Seems,
Or not.
at least looking into it, it makes sense to pursue it. Then we can look, once it comes back, we can make a decision. Yeah. The more that we can develop it, it's long-term. That'd be just a great place out there for people.
And if there's some appetite, we'd like to get it in front of the DNR, so even if you don't get it this round, it keeps us in kind of the top of mind, especially with this project as we go phase by phase.
So let's just talk this out loud. We would have, so Park and Rec is next week. We could just put it in front of them, kind of the design concept that we've already come up with. And that is something I think that's been talked about at Park and Rec is the bridge over the water at the lift station. I believe that's initially where the idea came from.
It is, yeah, it was certainly a discussion point.
So it shouldn't be a surprise to Park and Rec. Just get their feelings, and then we could come back at the next meeting.
Well, why wouldn't we do, this should really be a discussion about exploring a grant for $3,000 to $5,000, not about a design. And we could make that decision here about pursuing a grant. And then after the next meeting with the Park and Rec, you can bring that back to us, have some kind of conceptual drawings for us, and then we can make a decision on whether we're going forward with it at all. But at least we're going to hit that deadline of May 1st, and I mean, we're already into April here. We've got to make that decision tonight.
That makes
to
sense.
pursue the grant.
Just one thing to lay out, DNR stewardship is very flexible with projects. This project that we're talking about tonight was originally a trail grant out to the Honey Creek and Lofts area. Because we got the TAP grant also, we were able to convert that to the project we're doing today. So they're very good with working with, scopes that are similar to projects.
I had forgotten all about that. This did start out some time ago.
Yep, it did.
So I would say go forward with, working with Tim. Tim, bring back, to Park and Rec. You guys are, direction on design. And then if you want to bring it back at our next meeting here in April, we can, but I think you're good to go and ask for the money. I mean, worst case scenario, no, you don't get anything. We don't get anything, okay, well,
Right.
all right. But, I mean, we need to be pursuing these types of grants. You did say about erosion, I don't know if you've had a chance to go out there and check, or the water's down enough to check from this past week's rain.
I did not. It's water's still way up, so in the next couple days, I think it's going to start to recede, and we'll take a look at and see what things look like.
All right, so you need one motion or two here, one for Tim and one for Somerset, or?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to award the Honey Creek Nature Trail Improvement Project to Somerset Marine Construction LLC to the total amount of $879,348.56 with the adder of the composite decking for that construction.
Second.
second that.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Make another motion to approve the amended engineering costs of $57,690.50 to Lynch and Associates.
I'll second that one.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you both. We're excited for this project. Item 4, consider approval of roofing assessment proposal from Building Envelopes Consultants. Jason.
Okay, so if you remember, we're planning a roof replacement for this building in 2026. And it was discovered in 2025, there's some hail damage, so the insurance company's involved, and they are very interested in getting the most competitive pricing we can, since they're paying the bill. So they've asked us to bring in a roofing consultant to help come up with the plan for the replacement roof. And they have told me that cost, the $7,500 that we're looking to approve tonight, is reimbursable. So if it's approved tonight, And this is, again, nothing that was budgeted for. So if it's approved tonight, in the next 2 weeks, they'll come in, they do some core samples on the roof, do quite an in-depth inspection, and then provide me a scope of work that I can add into my request for proposals, and we'll get it out on the street for bids.
It is reimbursable.
That is what our insurance adjuster told me, yes.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the roofing assessment proposal from Building Envelope Consultants for $7,500.
I'll second that.
Questions or discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2026-03, adopt updated fee schedule. Danette?
So Judge Cotter brought to our attention that with the passing of Wisconsin Act 113, the court costs that is set by the state now that can be reimbursed is from $38 to $48. So we have added that recommendation into the already passed budget so that we can make that adjustment.
No other changes to the schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-03, an updated fee scale.
All right, questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Staff reports. Fire Chief's report for March 2026. Any questions there for Scott? Getting a ladder truck here this month? Fingers crossed, get a ladder truck this month? Yeah, get a ladder, yeah,
The last
and a
we-
pickup,
yeah,
right?
The last we saw, it was still, body was off of frame, and that was just last meeting, so.
Oh, geez, okay. Yeah. Maybe this was written before that meeting, and high hopes. Anybody listening? We have 2 open full-time positions for people who are qualified. All right, that's it for staff reports. On to committee reports. Item 1, Airport Advisory Committee minutes from February 9th. Jim, anything you want to highlight?
Not really, just to mention the jet fuel pricing. Jet A has not hit us yet. Doug had put in an order prior to the invasion, if you will, and so we should be in good shape there.
I guess we'll want to keep an eye on that before Oshkosh. All right. Any questions for Jim? All right, item 2, library board minutes from February 11th. Mary, anything you want to highlight?
Only thing that we are continuing to get the study done on the operational funds for a new library. So once that comes, we bring it back to the board.
Any questions for Mary?
And I see him referred to as Trustee Hubbard.
I'm sorry?
I referred to it in the notes. I'm Trustee Hubbard.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Jim's still around. I'll double check when I get home.
Item 3, Booth Lake Memorial Park minutes from February 18th. Joe, anything for you?
I got an update from Bonnie, the caretaker. So they've been working on the house, doing some upgrades. So we've got all new windows and doors, new insulation, ox board. 3/4 of that is sided, new soffit fascia. So tearing off the garage tomorrow. So, yeah, it's a lot happening.
All right. Any questions for Joe? All right, item 4, East Troy Area Emergency Services District minutes from January 15th. Scott, anything there that we haven't already talked about?
Nope.
Okay. All right, if no questions for Scott, then I will move that we go to closed session under Wisconsin Statute 1985 1G to confer with legal counsel as to strategy regarding litigation which the village is or likely to become involved pertaining to the village's offer to purchase with Bryan Land Development for parcel RXUP 00256 and 1985 1E to discuss the village's bargaining postures and negotiation strategy with respect to potential TID 4 development and offers to purchase on village-owned land for a portion of parcel RXUP 00256 and a portion of parcel RA 31410003.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
President Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Harding?
Yes.
Trustee Holm?
Yes.
Trustee